So just continue?
Yep.
And then on my phone too, or no?
You can if you want. It's not going to mess with the camera at all, so if you just want to leave it, you can. Okay. All right, and if you're ready to go, I'll let everyone in. All right, have a good class.
Okay, we'll let people filter in here a little bit. Hello, everybody.
Hey, hi, everyone.
Thank you for joining us on this lovely Saturday for another Michael's virtual classroom. Today's class is part of the Great Caron Cake-Off, where we've been adding decorative icings like pom-poms and tassels to projects made with Caron cake yarns. My name is Bianca from yarnspirations.com, and I'm here with your host, Sarah, from Repeat Crafter Me. Sarah will be teaching us how to add edging and a pom-pom to the Caron Crochet Bobbles hat. I will be in the chat helping you answer any questions you may have, but just a heads up that this class is being recorded. So if you find we're moving a little bit too quickly, or you'd like to rewatch a part of this class at any point in the future, you can find the posted video within the next 24 hours on michaels.com/classes. So with that all being said, I will pass it off to Sarah to kick us off.
Great, thanks, Bianca. Hi, everyone. I can see a couple of you on the top of my screen. Excited that you are all joining me today. So as she said, we are going to be working, well, hopefully some of you have already made, I've already have this made, the Caron Crochet Cozy Bobbles hat. This pattern was in the recipe book on michaels.com. The full pattern is there, so you can work with that now or make it later, but I will be showing you how to make this fun little topper. I'm calling this kind of, looks like a cupcake hat, and I'm gonna put on the little dripped icing, and we're gonna make a pom-pom for the top. It looks like a little cherry on top, super cute. Wanted to mention that you don't necessarily have to have the yarn I'm using or this hat pattern, although it does look very cute as is. You could take this tutorial and use it for other hats or projects. So I hope you enjoy this and get something out of what I'm going to show you. So for the Cozy Bobbles hat, it was made with this Caron swirl cakes, available now at Michaels. And for the topping part of it, I just grabbed kind of another Caron yarn that I had here at home. This is the Chunky Cakes, and I picked this one because it had some red yarn, and then it also had this kind of, I don't know, off-white, but it looked like little sprinkles throughout. So I thought it really fit well with this project. Feel free to use whatever yarn you have, another Caron yarn you may have, or a worsted weight yarn, whatever works for you. So what I'm doing is I'm deconstructing this Caron cake just to get the colors I need for the topping. Again, feel free, whatever colors you have, whatever you want to use. I have my pom-pom maker. You can use these to make pom-poms, or use piece of cardboard or wrap around your hand. I'll show you how to make a pom-pom on this pom-pom maker. And I'm gonna grab my size H crochet hook. I wouldn't go any smaller than that. You may want to grab some bigger hooks if you have the chunkier yarn with you today. I feel like sometimes it's easier to work with bigger hooks with the chunky yarn. I just have some scissors and a tapestry needle. I will show you, I'll probably start with the pom-pom, but I kind of want to show you this little dripped icing is what I'm calling it. And I'll have this pattern posted as well, but it kind of looks like a little octopusy thing before you end up stitching it onto the top of your hat. So I kind of like how that works. It's a simple little make, and it can just really fit on the top of any hat like this. Now I have two sample hats here. This one I already made, This one, I'm gonna go ahead and probably use blue for the icing just because this is already kind of that white color. And I want you guys to be able to see what I'm doing. So let me get into it. I think we'll just start with the pom-pom. And like I said, I'm going to go ahead and deconstruct my Caron cake by, let's see, I'll get my other scissors here. I'm just gonna take kind of the blue out, which I will use in a minute, but put this to the side. I'm gonna start with the red. So hopefully, you know, cherries are red, so I felt like it was a good thing to use here for the cherry on top pom-pom. I don't know if we want to switch the view. Yeah, okay, maybe this is better for all of you guys to see. Let me put this off to the side. Okay, so with the pom-pom maker, if you guys haven't used these before, and I believe these are available on michaels.com, you open it up like this, okay? And what we're gonna do is, so they do pull apart. So you're gonna keep it together to begin with, and we're gonna wrap the yarn around both of these sides. So I'm just gonna get to it so you can see what I mean. So this is how I kind of go about it. So I'm kind of just holding the yarn here, and you just start wrapping. Just so it's all kind of filled in there. You can count how many times you're wrapping so you can make it even on both sides. I'm just kind of gonna wing it here. Make sure I have enough yarn left for the other side. The more you wrap your yarn around, the thicker and fluffier your pom-pom will be. So I'm just gonna keep wrapping on this side a little more. Okay, well, maybe one more. Now, where did my scissors go? I've got my unicorn scissors here. So I'm just gonna clip that up. Okay. I'm gonna go like this, just set it down in there. Coming over to this side. And we're just gonna do the same thing. Wrap your yarn. Just as before. Actually, I do have quite a bit of red here. I thought I was gonna run out, but look at that. Okay. So I could have made this even fluffier, but you guys get the idea, I think. Wrapping it around. And I don't know if I said it before, I think this is the extra large pom-pom maker. Oh, there we go. Usually, sometimes they come in a pack. So you can get a small one, medium, big one, depending on what kind of project you're doing. Okay. Did I wrap that too much? I don't know. All right. Okay. So now we're just going to close that side. Okay. This is what it should look like. Then we're going to take our scissors. I think these will work. And I'm just going to stick them kind of, there's kind of a groove here that you're going to be able to feel with your scissors. And you're going to cut. I don't know if you guys can see that. Yeah, so it's kind of just rest your scissors in that groove and just go ahead and cut. These scissors could be a little sharper, but that's okay. It's working out. Okay, do the same coming up to the other side. All right. Okay, it should look like this so far. Now here's what I do. So I take a strand, extra little strand of yarn here. And, all right, let me turn it this way, see if you guys can see. You're gonna stick it into that groove. We're gonna pull really tight. And I'm just gonna knot this. Okay. Just pulling really tight and knotting it. This is kind of what holds it together. Do another knot here. You could probably triple or quadruple that just to make it nice and tight. All right. Now I'm gonna lift up both sides of my pom-pom maker. Pull apart, fluff it up. We have our pom-pom. You can, I left these ends, those little ends kind of long. You can trim those off. Okay. Trim one more. And then I keep this, the two longer tails, because this is what we're gonna use to attach it to the top. And we're gonna weave them down in through the inside of the hat and weave them in and knot it. So anyway, so here's our little cherry on top. We can set that off to the side now. Put my pom-pom maker to the side as well. Handy dandy little tool that is. And let's go ahead and make our icing. So let me see here if I can get, let me switch. I'm gonna use this blue, hoping that this looks as nice as this one. I'm sure it will. So I'm gonna use my size H hook. These have clay handles. I actually, you can get, this is a Susan Bates hook, and then I usually buy from independent designers, the ones that come with the clay handles, just because they're more comfortable for me, if any of you are wondering why my hooks look like that. So let's get started again. I will have this pattern, it's pretty simple, but written down. I think it'll be on Repeat Crafter Me after this, repeatcrafterme.com, just as a little bonus pattern to the recipes and the michaels.com recipe books patterns. So I'm gonna start, and we're gonna make a magic ring. So I just kind of go like this around my fingers, put my hook through, and pull my yarn up. Okay. Let me get some yarn that's snagging. All right. Holding my magic ring open, I'm gonna chain 2. Then I'm gonna make 12 double crochets in this ring. So we have 1. You guys can see this. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Okay. Now I'm just going to pull this tight. This is what I love about the magic ring. It's called magic loop also method. And then we're just going to join to that first double crochet over here. There's my first double crochet. There it is. Okay. Then we're going to make, oh, chain 2. And I'm going to make 2 double crochets in each stitch around. I'm gonna, sorry, move that over for 1 second. I keep bumping into it. Okay, so where am I at here? Oop, 2 double crochets in the first stitch. 2 double crochets in the next. And then keep going all the way around. Here. here. Okay. I usually have kind of a loose tension. So I think that's why the smaller hook's working okay for me. But, you know, all depends on how you crochet. Hopefully I'm not going too fast here. So 2 double crochets in each stitch. Of course, I'm not counting because I'm talking, but hopefully I have the right count here. I think I do. So I believe you should have 24 double crochets at the end of that. All right, so now I'm going to join to my first double crochet here. All right, and now's the little fun part, and you can kind of wing it or do what you want. So I'm making these little, I don't know, drippings is I guess what I'm going to call them. I have my little cheat sheet here of how I did this one, so I'm going to maybe look at it while I crochet, but you can really make these as long or short as you'd like, and you'll kind of get the hang of it in a minute when I show you. So I'm going to, where did I start on this one? So I'm going to start with kind of a longer little dripping there. So what's going to happen is I'm going to chain 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so you have a chain. And then you're basically just going to skip those first 2 chains and double crochet in the rest of them. Lots of double crochets in this little project. Okay, get your second layer. There we go. All right, so I just double crochet, skip those first 2, and then double crochet down the rest of that. All right. And that brings you back to your kind of second round here. And I'm just gonna skip 1 stitch and I'm gonna join with a slip stitch to the next. And that gives us our first little, our little octopus leg, our little dripping there. All right, so now you could make them longer, you could make them shorter. So the next one, I think I chained 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. Skip the first 2 chains, and I'm just going to double crochet in the remaining chains. Okay, so it kind of looks like that now. Skip brings you back to here. You're going to skip a stitch, join with a slip stitch to that next. Okay, so we've made 2. All right, now let's go ahead and chain 4, 2, 3, 4. This is going to be a little smaller dripping, so I'm only making 2 double crochets in those last 2 chains there. Okay, skip a stitch, join with a slip stitch. Okay, let's keep going. Let's make a longer one. I'm going to chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Same as before. So as you can see, you could even make them longer than what I'm doing, depending on what you prefer. I love when I show you guys how to do something and then you take it and do something even bigger and better. So feel free to really get creative when you're crocheting. Crochet, I always say this, crochet is so forgiving. You could really just kind of play around with it, and I feel like it always still looks good. You may have to kind of stretch your stitches out a little bit if they're curling up. It really doesn't matter actually, because we're going to be using our tapestry needle to stitch it onto the top of the hat. Okay, where am I? Now I skipped a stitch, right? I'm just moving ahead here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. making my double crochets. Okay, skipping a stitch, on to the next. Chaining 4, 2, 3, 4. All right, skip that stitch, on to the next. Chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Skip those first 2. Make your double crochets. All right, skip a stitch. I feel like a broken record, but that's kind of how these crochet tutorials are, right? All right, chain 4, 2, 3, 4. This is another little small one. All right, skip a stitch onto that next one. Chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Oop, skipping a stitch, joining to that next one. This one I'm only going to chain 2, which barely works, but I'm making a tiny little. So on this one I'm only going to skip 1 little chain there. I'm just going to make 1 double crochet. Just getting a little extra fancy there maybe. Oh, if I can even do it. Come on. There we go. All right. Oh, I lost my yarn. Okay. Chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hopefully you guys are getting the hang of what I'm doing here. Making my double crochets. We're almost done. Okay. I'm going to skip a stitch. I'm going to join. You should have that one stitch left there, which is perfect because that's the one you're going to skip. So I'm making my last little dripping, chaining 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Making those 2 double crochets. So I'm skipping that last stitch and I'm just going to join right to where, just join right here where we started. Okay, doesn't really matter where, you can insert your hook really anywhere at this point. Just going to kind of go under that stitch, slip stitch to join. I'm going to try and lay this flat. It curls up a little bit, but that's okay. Where's my scissors? Okay, I'm going to leave a long tail. Okay, put that off. Let's put this away. Okay. Nope. Slide it through there. All right. So we have our little frosting, or icing, if that's what you can imagine it as. Now, okay, well, where'd my tapestry needle go? Here we go. All right. Those little suckers they get lost really fast, don't they? More than my crochet hooks. I'm just turning this over. I'm gonna go ahead and weave in my end. All right. Okay, put that. Now, I'm gonna bring a little sample hat here into the frame. Okay, so you have your long tail. I'm just gonna show you how I'm gonna stitch it on. There's one other thing I wanted to show you and I'm thinking about, well, let's just do this and then we can get to that later. All right, so I'm using my tapestry needle. I have my long strand and you can, what I like to do actually, there's a little something on here, is, so this was kind of my join Where's the join in this hat? Oh, I can barely even see it, so maybe it doesn't matter. If you have a join in your hat, I like to always match those up to be on the back side. Oh, I think it's right here. It's kind of on the edge, so it doesn't really matter. All right, so I'm gonna just fold it over. Position your little drippings here however you like, maybe between your little bobble stitches. I love these little bobbles. They kind of remind me of, I don't know, M&Ms or something, or some kind of candy on my cupcake hat. Such a cute project. So anyway, fold it over, try to match up kind of the top round with the top of your icing round. Try and hold it in place as much as you can. You guys are gonna laugh. When I first did this, I had to undo this one originally because my icing ended up like this, which I guess could be cute too, but if you don't hold it in place, you could even pin it. It might come undone. All right, I'm gonna try and hold this in place as best I can. And we are gonna work on I like to work under the edges of those stitches. And I'm gonna take my tapestry needle and I'm gonna go, you don't wanna go all the way through the hat because you don't wanna stitch it all the way together, but just under kind of those stitches in your hat. Okay, and this is how we're going to, I have a really long tail. All right, this is how we're gonna stitch it on. So I'm kind of holding it. It's a little bit of a balancing act. Come back up through the edge of my stitches. Once you get a couple of these, you guys can see what I'm doing here. Once I get a couple of these done, it'll stay in place better. Okay. And then down. You guys can see what I'm doing. Kind of just feeling for those stitches in the hat, poking my tapestry needle back up through there. Pulling it. All right, so just like this. And I'm just gonna kind of continue to do this. And I don't know if now maybe is a good time if there's any questions while we just watch as I stitch this on, or I don't know, I figured we could maybe chat. We could chat while I do this, I don't know.
Sure, Sarah, I'm just wondering about what are some of the considerations when you're mixing kind of types of yarns here? Yeah. Could I be, only using a worsted weight if I'm doing an icing like this, or?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So I have a hair in here or something. I actually do prefer in my projects to use the same, for the most part, the same type of weight, or, like if you're using a worsted weight, it's kind of easier to make your whole project out of worsted weight yarn. This was all kind of a chunky yarn, all kind of in that same Caron Cakes line. So I felt like it was gonna really go together well, which if you have this in front of you, you can really feel the textures are very similar. But I don't think there's any rules. You could definitely combine yarns, and I have before actually in blankets, and it turns out great too. It's just a little bit easier sometimes when you're using the same weight yarn or kind of texture that, you can use the same hooks, and it doesn't, sometimes like if you were to use it on a blanket, if you were to mismatch like a worsted weight and a really chunky yarn, the stitches might start kind of popping because one's a lot thicker than the other. But yeah, that's a good question. So yeah, for this one, I did try and stick with this kind of one brand and really texture and feel and weight. But that being said, if you have used something different, and you absolutely can, I would love to see it. And honestly, with a pom-pom too, you could use any yarn for a pom-pom. Okay, so here we go. So yeah, so see how now that I've had a couple stitched on, I'm not really pinching that top down. I think it's gonna work. It'll work. It'll be good. All right. I'm gonna keep going. Stitching this. This takes, it's like the stitching takes longer than the actual crocheting, huh, sometimes.
So are you having to kind of place the drippings in between the bobbles, or are you just?
Yeah, so the top part doesn't have any bobbles here. There are bobbles on kind of this next round, which I am trying to go a little bit in between. So here's like one of the little drippings. There's a little bobble right here peeking through. And then I have, I'm gonna try and stitch it a little bit like this. Well, maybe I'll make two go in there. So yeah, I'm trying to work around them the best I can. I think it would look really pretty if you make your drippings even longer. Like it would be pretty if maybe this one came all the way down in between these two bobbles, because the bobbles are such a fun texture to this hat. They look really cool. As I said before, it reminds me kind of, you know, if you had candy or, I don't know, M&Ms or Hershey Kisses or something in there. So yeah, I'm just kind of trying to work, and you don't, you know, you just grab a little bit of the hat, those hat stitches, and get it stitched on.
So we're also wondering here, could you mix it up, so single crochet, double crochet, or other kind of stitches to create different thicknesses for the drippings?
Oh, definitely. That's a really great idea. So yeah, I was just trying to simplify it a little bit, just using all double crochets for you guys. But I absolutely love that idea. You could make your chains and then just single crochet all the way down, or slip stitch for a really skinny little dripping, half double crochet too. You could even, if you wanted your drippings to be bigger, kind of like a droplet, so you could do double crochet, maybe 2 double crochets, 2 half double crochets, 2 single crochets, and it would kind of make this like droplet look. Yes, that was such a great question. Yes, you absolutely could do that. And I use this kind of that technique where I've done the chains and then you know, double crochet, single crochet, half double crochet down the chain. I use this in so many different projects, just for different things. It creates kind of a cool effect. So like let me give you an example. Like if you were to make a snowman and you wanted to make a carrot nose, this is like a great way. Like you could do one of them for like a nose. Imagine that in orange. So anyway, I use that technique a lot when I'm crocheting different little embellishments on my, I don't know, whatever project I'm working on. Okay. Now I'm getting distracted and away from my stitching here. We're almost done, I think. It's also kind of important that you do leave, I thought my tail was going to be too long. Well, it might still be pretty long, but leave yourself a long enough tail that you don't run out. Sorry, my chair's creaking. Because I would hate for you to get to about here and then you have no more strand to work with, and then you're going to have to start by, you know, cutting a new strand, weaving in more ends. All right, where am I here?
So Donna's just wondering if the hat pattern, did that take the entire ball of Caron swirl cakes, or did you have some left over?
I'm not quite sure. I do think it took most of it, yes. Like one, but where'd my ball go? And the funny thing about this is it's all different. I feel like each ball has a different color swirl to it. So each one of your hats is going to be really unique. So see how this one has the two, and then kind of like how this was started with the brown, and then it goes to the cream and then brown again, and then this one just had kind of maybe two colors. So each of your hats will be different. But I would be curious to see if anyone did this hat in a different color.
Mm-hmm.
That would be cute too. But yeah, and also if you had leftover yarn, that would be a really great place to maybe do the icing, or like brown icing, chocolate icing. Do some fun pom-poms with that maybe too. All right, where am I here? Okay. Come on. What do I have? Two more little drippings to go. Oh, go over that bobble there. To the side of it, I mean. All right. Okay, just gonna stitch my last one on here. And then we can put on our pom-pom, and then I have one more little idea. Since we're talking about putting icing on the cake, one more little idea for some icing that I didn't really completely try out, but I think it could work. So hold on a second. Okay, let me just see if I can. All right. Little strand there. All right. Did we get it on? Cute. My little blue icing there. My boys would like this one. All right, so I'm just gonna weave in these ends. Just kind of going under these stitches. All right, I think that's good. All right. Where are my scissors? Okay, that's cute. Okay, and this side. Flatten it out so you can, I can't tell which way's upside down. Okay, this must be right side up. Oh my gosh, how cute is that? All right, so now we can put our little cherry on top. So I just take my tapestry needle again, and I put it through just the top here. I'm gonna reach in the inside, pull that through. I'm gonna do the same with this strand. Try and pull it. See if you guys can see that. I try and put it down in a different spot, because if you put it down in the same spot and tie it, it'll still come out or come undone. All right, so I'm putting that there. Okay, put that inside out. Now you can knot it a couple times. If you want it really, really secure, I would probably just go ahead and weave these ends in. I'm being lazy right now, so I'm just gonna do that and just trim this for the inside of the hat, just so you guys get the idea. But anyway, here is, he's so cute. So there's our icing. Front and back should basically look the same. And we have our cute little icing and cherry on top of our cupcake hat. Now, I just wanted to show you guys one more little technique that I think could work. I don't know, let's try this together. I'll take, here, let me move. Well, I'll keep this so you guys can see. Go to this hat. So if you notice on this particular design, it has these fun little, I don't know, ridges here. Ridges, I don't know if that's what we should call them. Anyway, and you can easily kind of put your hook under these stitches. So you had a row here, here, here. Pretend you didn't have this icing there. There was another little ridge right there. So I almost feel like, if I can get this yarn out. you could take, oh gosh, where's the end? Can't find the end. You could take your, sorry, you take your yarn, put it under there, and start making almost like scallop stitches, or maybe even the same as what we did here for the drippings. And you could kind of make even more little icing. So I could, you know, maybe chain 3, make some double crochets, all in one little stitch here. So you gotta chain back down, join. I don't know, make more little slip stitched over to the next ridge. You know, maybe it'll make fun little, oh, that's too many. More little icing, or I don't know what you want to call it, but I always love scallops. They always make projects look so fun. So I'm just kind of making double crochets and chains under these little ridges here. And I just thought maybe this is another fun way to embellish this, make it even more yummy. Oh, gotta get my thing. Okay, let me do one more, and then we'll spread it out and see how we like this. Okay, let's see. Take my hook out for a minute. I don't know, it's kind of cute. So there's maybe another idea for you. Again, get creative, but you could even add, you know, a little extra something. Maybe if you didn't want to do the little pattern, you could do a couple little rows of just little scallops along those ridges to make some icing. Anyway, I don't know. I'm just full of little ideas here. So hope you guys enjoyed that. Yes, so please let me know if there's any more questions. And I think all of the links are going to be either posted in this video or afterward, of where you can get the hat pattern. And if you need to look back and see the video on how to make the icing or the pom-poms again, maybe in slower motion, that video will be posted. And of course, I will also post on my blog as well, repeatcraftforme.com. Anyway, questions from anyone? Oh, there we go. Now I can see my own face.
I mean, it sounds like people would really love to see just the magic circle again. I don't know if we have a couple of minutes, so.
Absolutely. I know it's hard to see and it's hard to get the hang of. I have another, let's see, what's the best yarn to do that with? It's just, what is this attached to? Okay. So let me just start by saying this. If the magic ring is too confusing, you could always make your slip knot and chain 2. If I can make a slip knot here. You could chain 2 and you could make your double crochets. Well, I would probably chain 3 actually, and because we're making double crochets, and you could make your double crochets all in that last chain like I'm doing here. If the magic ring is just too confusing, this is just another way you could start your circle. So I'm just making all my double crochets in that chain. And I would make more to make 12, and I would join, and it would be kind of the same idea. You just wouldn't be able to pull it tight. All right. If you want to do the magic ring, let me try and slow this down. Maybe put my hands up. So this is how I do it. So I'm holding my strand. This is the This is the working end. This is the other end. And I just kind of wrap it around. I don't know, I have short little fingers here. So I kind of take 3 fingers and I wrap it around. Okay, you can use your thumb to pinch there if you need to. All right. And then I'm just gonna put my hook through the back there. I'm gonna grab my yarn, okay, and pull it up. So I have my loop on my hook. I'm gonna take my fingers out and you should have your ring. So this is the end. Kind of, you might want to hold it. You might want to just pinch there so not everything doesn't come unraveled. This is my working strand. Okay. I don't know if you guys, how well you can see that. All right. And then this is where you just start. This is really loose, but chaining 2 and then working in your ring. Let me do it again. Okay. Pull it a little tighter. And then you're just working in your ring. It's just, you know what it is a balance of? It's really a balance of just kind of holding it until you get that chain and your first stitches going. And then you can just really make as many double crochets as you want. And I really like this technique because of the way that you can pull it. I mean, I only did 4 or 5 double crochets there, but you can really pull it tight. All right, let me see if I can do it one more time for you guys. I don't know how much time we have here, but it would really help if my yarn was maybe here. Okay. So I wrapped it around my fingers, through the back, pull up, okay? And then it's however you feel comfortable, kind of pinching and crocheting. Kind of holding that ring and then just making your double crochets in it. Okay, well, hopefully that helps. It does take a bit to master, so don't beat yourself up if you're not getting it right away. And I know that if the way I'm doing it is too confusing, I know there's some really, really great tutorials out there on magic rings. They're also called magic loops. So those are available all over the place. I would just Google or go to YouTube for those. So anyway, I don't know how many double crochets I just made, but you pull your non-working strand and you have your stitches, and then you can just join to have your first round. Anyway, hopefully that helps. Great. Any other things I can show or questions?
I think we're good here. Yeah.
Oh, great.
A lot of thank yous. That was a great demonstration. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad you guys enjoyed that. I hope I was clear enough with the directions, and if not, please go to the playback. And I hope you're enjoying your, I don't know, can we put one of these on? Can I wear one now? Your little cupcake. Oh, can you guys see me? Your cupcake with the icing hats. Just a great project for really any time. I know I always get so many requests to make these fun, you know, hats for really kids, adults, birthdays. I mean, anything that has icing and you know, cute and yummy projects. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Thank you so much for coming to the class today and for having me. Everyone's waving. Well, I see a couple of people waving.